All right, thank you for everyone. We're going to get started right away at 6 o'clock on the dot. So if we could, I will call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Board of Education, March 27th, 6 p.m. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, we do have a quorum with 5 board members present. Unfortunately, we have several board members not able to make it tonight. So we're going to move right through the agenda as quickly as we can. We do have some interviews. We have 2 candidates to interview today for the vacancy on our Board of Education. We have Adam at 6 o'clock, and then we have Eric coming in for 6:30. So we will, just again, I'll start with the process and how we'll go about tonight. We will do the interviews here in a public forum. The board will ask some questions. We'll get to know our candidates a little bit. Once we interview both candidates, we will head into executive session as a board. We'll have a discussion as a board to be able to determine the consensus of the board where we want to go. During that, we will ask both candidates and the public to leave the room, as well as Superintendent Sosa will leave the room as well during the executive session. Once the board reaches a consensus, we will invite each candidate in individually. We'll have a quick conversation about where we landed, and then we'll come out of executive session. We'll make a motion and a vote at that time. With that, we will start with Adam. How you doing? Tim Kleps, I'm the chair of the Board of Education. So I'll start, just if you would. We'll try to keep this as regimented as possible. Again, we do have some questions here that we have that surround our mission. The board members have every opportunity to ask these questions of you that have been pre-prepared, or any question they want to be able to get to know you a little bit. So, and I'll go in again in an order here. We'll probably start with Frank and go to Kristen and work our way around. Me to start, again, I'll ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself. We have your resume. Is there anything else you want to tell us about? Anything, again, interesting that we would want to know?
So I guess high level is I'm a product of the New York City, not New York City, the New Hartford public schools. Before moving down to New York as an adult and working for a while with the New York City Department of Education, I attended here everything from Hartford Elementary all the way up to Northwestern Regional for high school, and at that one as a civics teacher while I was there. My work was originally very much in the arts, and as part of doing theatrical production work, I was bringing educational programs to public schools in Massachusetts for a while, touring around just different types of life skill educational programs for kids. And then ended up connecting with other types of educational work in New York City, working with District 75 for a number of years, which is for kids from troubled households and those with different learning disabilities. Helping them learn life skills, and so working very directly with classrooms and students. And then kind of zooming out over the course of my career, working much more with associations and online learning and online education. For a while, working with the Smithsonian, broadcasting educational programs to classrooms for kids to learn about everything from deforestation to photography. Really anything that Smithsonian researchers started. So there's a lot of work developing educational programs and delivering them that way, with my focus then shifting to adult learners when I started working at EduCause, which is a nonprofit that serves higher ed communities. And a lot of my kind of philosophies around education and work were really fashioned in my time there. It was a nonprofit association, which means that we were the stewards of membership money. And so we were always aware that we had to be good stewards of the money that was being paid to our association, just like New York City, New Hartford public schools have to be good stewards of taxpayer money. So those are some kind of high-level career pieces. I came back at the start of the pandemic full-time, but I was based part-time in town for the last probably about 10 years. And we moved to Turnbull Road, got married just year. And hopefully have some kids of our own in the next year or two. So don't have any kids in the school system now, but very likely will in the nearest future.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. To go through the questions, Frank, I mean, if we go one by one, Frank, do you want to start for us?
Are you wanting to go through this order in particular, or
No, you can ask any question that's on there, any question that comes to mind.
just kind of the obvious question is what drew you to try to fill the vacancy to be on the Board of Education?
Well, it's something that both Dan and I have been talking about since we based ourselves full-time in Hartford again. And it was about finding ways to connect with the community and give back in some way. You know, I feel like I took my education here, I went and I built it, and then I came back, and it's time to put some of that back into the community and actively help. So in my background, education just made more sense. I've been working so heavily with educational institutions for so long. In the last 2 years, I've been in a very corporate environment, so I've been craving connection to the educational world again, working with, you know, be it the grand scheme of planning strategy around for kids, or something more direct. I knew that was a path I wanted to explore. So when I found out that this vacancy had popped up, I thought this is a really excellent opportunity for a new community member to get involved for a period of time that is, you know, less than a standard seat, and to see what they can contribute, if it's a good fit, if it's a good fit for the board to have them there. So I figured to put my name.
Hi, I'm Cecilia. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about how you see your position in terms of balancing the needs of all of the stakeholders related to the Board of Education, the staff, the students, the town, all of that. Can you talk a little bit about how you think about gathering information and balancing that while you're trying to make decisions?
Yeah. This goes back to one of the core philosophies at EduCause that has really stuck with me, which is collecting all of the information and perspectives on something so that you can make a decision that actually brings together the different needs of people. I think a lot of problems can actually have a fairly win-win solution, as long as you're using data-driven decision making, so that it's anchored in something real that future people can build on, and that the board can build on. You can check results compared to that. So I'm not sure if I wanted a little bit from your question, but that was where I first went.
That's okay. Thank you.
Come over to the other side, Deirdre.
I can't turn my head when I'm stage straight.
No, I'm bringing my heart.
Sorry. So you said something earlier, I'm Deirdre, by the way, nice to meet you. You said something earlier that something that I always struggle with, which is being the stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, right? And I think like everyone on the board wants to do everything they possibly can for the children and the teachers, but obviously you can't have everything, and you don't have that money.
Yeah.
So what is your position on what do you think about how we manage the taxpayers who go to this and we're supposed to represent them and be good stewards of their dollars, right? Especially those that don't have children in school systems anymore, that are grandparents, that some people that live here that don't have any children at all in the school system. So how do you manage that? And then you manage this, right? We have teachers that have major needs, that are these children that have major needs keep going up. How do you, what do you think about that? How would you handle that?
Yeah, well, I think the core of it is that it goes back to the mission, right? The Board of Ed has a specific mission to serve students and create a inclusive, productive environment for them to learn and be excited and engaged. So as we're weighing the different places where we have to spend money, the different programs we have to focus on, we still have to deliver on that program or on that key mission. And there are some people in town that mission might not ever matter for them because they don't have kids or they're not interested or engaged in that aspect of government. But we're still representing those people and the mission, and we have to find that meeting point. I think that's when go back to one of my favorite terms, data-driven decisions. You know, seeing where we can have the most impact for our dollar, and results we can track, as opposed to just programs that make us feel good. Sometimes there are things that feel like, oh yeah, we'll spend money on this, it feels great, but doesn't have the impact that we want. Sometimes even the opposite effect. So I think we will have to take programs that come up one at a time, questions and decisions that come up one at a time, look at it holistically and prioritize.
Maine? Oh,
Oh, no.
it's okay. Frank, do you have any other questions?
You're allowed to ask questions.
No, I will. Yeah.
You ask one and then I'll.
All right. One of the questions on here is, again, the board commitment comes with, a time commitment, both on meetings, like today is a special meeting, but we typically meet, on Tuesdays. So again, we look at what your schedule is, how open that is. In addition to being on the board in working with this group here in our normal monthly meetings, and special meetings are also committees of the board. So there's also a commitment to those as well. Just tell us about, again, your the time you have available to be able to commit to the board.
Well, all of the things you noted there, none of them panic, so that's a good sign. I think they all fit scheduling wise. I've been serving on a couple of boards over the last few years. One of the board of advisors for nonprofit peer years. We online during the day, so I just carve time out of the work day. But I still end up going up there on weekends to take specific events every once in a while. It's all a nice, easy drive away. This is an even easier drive away, as I live 10 minutes down the road and work really traditional hours. So I'm fairly available on evenings to carve out time.
Over to you.
Also, just I know it's a headache to have quorum sometimes, so I always try to get to meetings because I've seen that with other boards that can really stall work. Everyone has curveballs in life, but I think that's a good priority to have.
Appreciate that.
I'm new to the board and this is unusual to have so few here.
Yes.
It is a
Yeah.
board that shows up usually. The question I have, you went through the school system. And, I work in the school system and I came here with the lens of a regional teacher, to be honest, that had some hopes like aligning curriculum and stuff like that. I've told them that. And having gone through the school system, is there anything that when you came in, like you have an agenda, something you think the school could do better at, something, a personal goal that you have for the school system?
It's a difficult one because I want to see what you're all working on as well, and what sort of things that I would bring to the table, assuming we've got tons of capacity to time and invest in that.
Bless you.
I think critical thinking skills in public schools shift away from more towards that. And I think I saw it in the 5-year strategic plan as well. And I just think that that's really crucial, especially as information is more readily available now than it was in the school system in this room. At this point, those aren't the skills that are needed. So I think that's a very big piece. Critical thinking, digital literacy, data literacy, but data literacy especially. It's being able to determine whether or not information is true, what the sources are, is there a bias behind a source, who paid for this thing that you're reading, who profits from this thing that you're reading. There's a lot of around that. Those are the two things I think jump out. Thank you.
In terms of the commitment we talked about, we all serve on some subcommittees. Have you had a chance to look at the list of subcommittees? Is there any that you're particularly engaged in?
Yeah, I shouldn't catch those subcommittees, but
I was just looking them up on my phone because I actually couldn't remember all of them, so I'm gonna rattle them off to you. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about the one that starts.
yeah, sure.
So we have a long range planning committee, negotiations and personnel committee, plant facilities and transportation, the school community relations and committee, student health and safety, the community outreach committee, school security and safety, and the curriculum.
Well, the two that jump out at me immediately are, one is school and community communications, and the other is the school safety component. I know that that's kind of a hot button issue these days. So both I would be very interested in, the school security one, and especially because I know that there are a lot of strong feelings and decisions that should be made safe, schools safe, and I know that the data doesn't always align with where the voices are the loudest and solutions. So I think there's a lot of space there for consideration of how to effectively make students safer. So that can include things like inclusiveness and belonging for students as well. You know, not just if they would be the ones to commit an act of violence against others, but against themselves. So I think there's a lot there around safety. And the other one, just touch on briefly, I think a school's ability to communicate what it's doing, communicate what it's doing for its students, to its community, is really key to getting buy-in and support from those stakeholders. I think that messaging, making it easily accessible, even for the rooftops when we have really fantastic successes and interesting programs for others to engage in. That's a big priority as well.
What do you think, Deirdre?
I'd like to be performing. What's your favorite place to go?
Well, we have got 2 dogs, so a lot of my questions are dog-based these days. I like a place that I can bring the dogs to run around. So, going to West Hill Lake and being able to jump in. Our dog loves to swim, even though she's a husky mix. So, love that. Love going and watching her swim around. Like she's a little out of here. Yeah, the hiking path that overlooks New Hartford, do that one a lot. I like to check out some of the newer businesses that have opened up. I mean, I say it's newer-ish, but Brewery Legitimus, I just think it's such a great addition to the town. Germain's on Main. Yeah, it's so good. It's really delicious. I mean, they're just so friendly and warm there. Yeah, I don't know. So that kind of stuff gets me really excited to do that, because it feels like the best pieces of New York City when I was down there, but up here where I have all the other best things that New York lacks.
Filling hesitations and reservations. 24.
I don't think so. Does that count as a hesitation or reservation?
Hesitations and reservations.
Yeah. No. I'll say both of my parents were very involved in town politics. For a number of years, they ran a small local newspaper, the local Hartford Plus. So they just followed and reported and tracked everything. And then for a while, my mother was on Board of Finance, and my stepdad was on Planning and Zoning. So I heard a good amount about the exciting things that fueled them and the headaches they came back with, sometimes interacting with each other, sometimes interacting with the community. So got a lot of secondary exposure. It didn't scare me off.
All right, you mentioned that your parents were involved with politics. And one of the things as board members, right, we always have to think about the decisions we make, right? And tell me about a little bit about yourself, your decision-making process. Again, I don't know what you're affiliated with, nor does it matter to me. But it's more about, again, would you tell me, again, your thought process. Again, if we had a decision that was up for vote and you had 3 people in your party on one side of it and 3 in the other, and you were the tiebreaker, right? Would you be voting party lines, or would you be voting and using a thought process to, you know where I'm going, just,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I'll say that I think party lines really do not matter when it comes to individuals. It's very, well, we've all seen over the last 4 to 8 years, the parties have been fluctuating. I've had many friends that have jumped from party to another or jumped to unaffiliated, so it's, if I just look at party. I think a lot of our decisions are going to be about pulling together sources of information. And if there is data on something having been done elsewhere, I would love to look at why that succeeded or failed for those individuals and how that might apply to where we are in the context of this town and the school system. I think that's really key. Listening to other board will all have quite a bit more of an experience than me. And listening to the community, really, what are the things that people are passionate about? What are the things that they're concerned about? Making sure that they feel represented while working priorities.
now we don't have to go. Again, you know, everybody's had a couple of attempts. If you have other questions, please feel free.
I have one question. So in terms of your skill set, obviously you have a wide variety of, what do you think would be your top skill sets that you bring to the table when you do your work? Like, you know, what skill set you're using now in your corporate job, or personality, style that you have, you think you bring to the table?
Well, I always felt like my professional superpower when I was in work environments was pulling together disparate ideas and finding a way to connect them all and turn them into a single solution. So that really served me well, both developing learning programs in the education sector and now in the business sector. It's helping me mediate some conflicting priorities between buyers and sellers of businesses. So I think that's one of the strengths that I would bring to the table. Yeah, I think that's.
Anything else?
Do you want to ask the last question?
Yeah, sure. You have any?
Questions you'd like to ask the board?
Well, I'm very curious what you're looking for in an additional board member. Are there specific gaps in the skills or experience you all have, or specific strengths that you're looking for someone to bring here?
I can start. I'm going to say the one thing that, from my perspective, that I'd be looking for is, again, someone who's here to participate, right? Someone who's here to offer their input, right? The idea behind a 9-person board is to get 9 different perspectives, and to be able to do that as a board, respectively, or with respect for one another. You know, you hear about different boards around the state, around the country, and again, the debate that goes on there and the disputes, right? We want to avoid that. So I would say, you know, here it's participation. It's being here to help promote the education in this town. It's doing what's best for our children, but it's being an active member, right? From my standpoint.
I just want to, I think so many of those disputes are not actually about financial things. I think they're about making people feel better about their things. That's not really, that's not mission, and that is not what we owe.
I mean, I agree with Tim completely. I feel like find like people here who are making the time to think about things, to do the materials, to do the research beforehand, try to help bring other perspectives. Like, we talk a lot about bringing data-driven decisions to the board, but like we need help sourcing that data and like actually bringing it and talking about it and kind of doing that. And it really is a full team effort. So somebody willing to sit down and do the work and listen and
research team that.
You said it, for me, it's the stability aspect.
Okay, well, that was about 20 minutes of drilling you. Do you have anything else you'd like to close with?
You know, I'll just say that, I don't know anything about, all of your comments, but I do think that I bring a very unique perspective that would be useful for, it's having gone through the school system myself, and having left and worked with a very large unit system in the New York City public school system. Very much of it. I think that there are many issues right now for kids around senses of belonging and inclusivity, and having someone who identifies as queer on board is valuable for community members and even kids that have some reflection. So, you know, I hope that I provide that visibility and perspective on some issues that might not be as vital.
Thank you. All right. We will move on. I'm going to assume that Eric is in the back. You guys feel free. You've just spoken for 20 minutes. Grab a bottle of water if you'd like. All right, please. So good evening, Eric. How you doing? Good. You just sat through exactly what we went through with Adam. So we'll start if we could again. If you tell us a little about yourself. We do have your resume. We've read what's in here, but I'd like to hear from you a little bit about yourself and what you'd like to share with us.
Well done, Adam. You're a hard person to go after. I'll give it that shot. My name is Eric Parati. I was born and raised in Farmington. Graduated from high school there. Went off to college and came back, and eventually made my way to New Hartford. I've been here for almost 15 years now. I've lived in Pine Meadow. I live in Pine Meadow, and I do have two daughters. One of whom is in 7th grade now at Northwestern, and I have another daughter in 4th grade here in school. And I am currently a teacher in the Canton Public Schools. In fact, I've been there for 24 years now, Canton Intermediate School. So, sort of education has been something that has driven me for many, many years. So, I look forward to this opportunity.
All right, thank you. Want to start again, Frank, or do you want to go the other way?
I'll ask the same question. What drew you to apply?
I have a strong passion for New Hartford and town of New Hartford and all the wonderful things that happen. I really like the school system. My daughter had a great experience here in the school system. The school system reminds me a lot of Canton's school system. We see a lot of wonderful similarities too. I am a part of another board here in the State Code Authority. So I'm that got me to learn a little bit more about how these committees work and how these commissions work, and find this sort of public service very something I feel like I could do. No problem.
Can you talk a little bit about your philosophy in terms of balancing the stakeholders that are here to represent the staff, the students, the town? How do you think about balancing all those priorities?
It's not easy. So there's, you have people at the town who have some strong feelings about things, and as an educator myself, I might have certain ideas and strong feelings about things. So there definitely needs to be a balance. Cost is always something that needs to come into play, and again, it's something that I feel is very important to make sure that we are representing the town or the townspeople well, the taxpayers well, representing them for what they believe and also what's best for their children.
Do you have any hesitations or reservations during the board?
I don't, but the one thing that does come to mind is the whole idea of politics. And politics is a very difficult issue these days. And so that would be my only reservation to worry about how best to reach across the aisle, reach to everybody, and just I want to do my best to make people happy, but I know that doesn't always happen in a situation like this. So one of my big philosophies is compromise, and that's something that I hope to bring to this committee.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I guess I would ask the same question for you, how, kind of what you alluded to a little bit, but I think the hardest part of being on the board for me is being able to balance what's appropriate for what we have, right? And we continue to spend lots and lots of money that we don't have.
Right.
So I always struggle with that when I go home at night. It's like, how do we, again, be good stewards of the taxpayers who are literally funding this, and yet still provide the teachers and all the things, and your teachers see now, right, in education, how hard it is. I find it the hardest thing to do. And we can't keep spending, right, because we don't have it. So that's the other part that I struggle with. So I'm wondering how you feel about that.
It's hard. It's hard as a teacher. There are a lot of things that I feel that we would benefit from, but I also understand that there's only so much that we can spend. So again, I would say we would need to find more creative ways to get things, more creative ways to find the money. I know there are grants out there, lots of them that can be used. So I know there are ways to get the things that we need without necessarily bringing into the budget or raising any kind of rates.
Okay, thank you. Since it's over to me, and since you already hit on the politics, talking about compromise as your philosophy, another question I'll ask you, which will be new, is as a board member, right? There's information that's shared at a board level and outside of board levels. And as a board member, again, and having our superintendent of schools, there's a relationship there. So my question becomes, what do you think is the ideal relationship between the board and the superintendent of schools?
I think communication is the most important. And as you were saying, as I was saying, earlier, compromise. There has to be a little give and take on both sides. I think that's very possible in a system like this, a school district like this. And I feel like there's always kind of middle ground that can be found. That's what really bothers me about politics these days. Nobody wants to find them. Nobody wants to. Everybody sticks to their ideals, and whether they're far right or far left, my philosophy has always been let's find somewhere in the middle. Proud, independent, lowercase I, and I feel like that keeps me from voting on party line, for example. That prevents me from making decisions due to what's being said politically. So again, as far as to answer your question, I think the relationship between superintendent and board of education is extremely important, and just keeping the lines of communication open.
Thank you.
My turn again?
Yes, sir.
Very similar question to what I asked before. You teach 4 to 6, it sounds like, and you have kids that go to school here. So looking at the school from your perspective, is there anything that you would, have as sort of a personal agenda, something you'd like to see done in the school system to, improve it?
I don't have a personal agenda. I'm very impressed with what I see. So if I become a member of the Board of Education, I continue to see it get shine the way it shines now. Come into this school. Every time I come in here with my daughters, I'm impressed at it. Just how it looks, the cleanliness of it, the way the classrooms are set up. What I see is clear dedication from the teachers. So that's my, if I have an agenda, it's to keep doing what we're doing well.
You heard me rattle off this subcommittee.
Yes.
You need to repeat it? Or do you
No,
not want to talk about it?
I did see a few of them there. I'm on the safety committee at Canton School, so that might be something that I would be. I do have a background, writing for classes, so those are the two committees that we're going to focus. Outreach, I think is great. Love to see more community outreach and experiences for the kids within the community. So those are definitely the ones that really popped out. Negotiations are, of course, part of the profession, so that's something that I can bring to the table as well.
Anything else?
Or powers, they have powers.
My thing I'm most proud about, my favorite superpower is being a dad. Being with my kids, while watching them grow and growing up so fast. And just want to slow it down, but I know it won't happen. But that's my superpower. Yeah, I'll stick with that.
Anything else, Megan? No. Time commitment, right? Same question I had asked Adam, right? Being a school teacher, being a dad. Again, you said you have a 7th grader and a 4th grader, so I assume you may be as busy as I am with that same age area. So tell us a little bit about that commitment to, again, meetings, subcommittee involvement.
I'm a bit of a soccer dad, but I do have a soccer grandfather as well, who takes them to places at times when I meet about once a month on Thursdays with Stanford Port Authority. So I ready to go. Again, I have school hours and availability, but also availability.
Anything else?
Oh, we should ask the last question.
Absolutely.
Do you have any questions for the board?
I don't have any questions that come to mind right now. Just that I'm excited to meet all of you and look forward to whether I become a board member. I'm interested in about what to do. Yeah. 2 great candidates here, so.
I think Katina's favorite place to go in New Hartford, 15 years here. You gotta have a favorite place, right?
You stole my question.
You didn't ask it. You didn't ask it. I wrote it down.
Well, ski sundown, love to ski. Got my girls into skiing, so I'll be there. I have to give a shout out to Pizza Pete. He
Sold out. Sold out.
Where is he, by the way? What's he? Tell me that
I don't know yet.
I'll tell you about
All right, I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
Yes, but he found somebody that will keep the name, keep recipes and probably the best pizza place around. So those are my hangout. And legitimacy. Which we're very lucky to have. That's a Canton, originally a Canton, system. Guidance to have, so. Yeah.
Anybody have anything else? Okay. Well, I thank you both for coming in. I thank you both for allowing us to ask you some questions and giving us some very great answers. We will head into executive session and spend a few minutes as a board to talk about each of you, right, and what we just went through, and we'll grab you one by one. So if everybody could, we're going to turn off the camera, right, and then if we could head out of the room so we can go into executive session. I do need a motion to go in.
I know how to do this. I was on the board for.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go to executive session.
Okay. So we got a motion by Kristen, second by Frank. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you. We'll be in touch in a few minutes.
So,